Martin, thank you so much for speaking to us here on ANN7. Well, welcome to South Africa. Tell us a bit about the trophy tour. Have you been travelling all around with the trophy?
So I personally haven't, but because the trophy tour's been going everywhere, so I couldn't possibly do that. Otherwise, I think I'd probably be divorced. But I think no, it's great because especially with the build up to 2015, and you can start to, especially now I'm retired as well. Why do people play the game? And this is what it's to watch and to see things like this. But also, the World Cup now as a trophy is becoming an iconic trophy to win. And fortunately we've won it once, which makes it special. But it's also the message about what is actually rugby and what does it do. It's becoming an ever more global sport, but the values always stay true. You want to excite, but also to unify nations, and that's what the World Cup's all about.
What do fans get when they actually get to see the trophy in real life? What does it mean to them?
Well, I think, especially in South Africa, you see, you saw what happened in, most importantly, in '95, and then you just, which is, such a special time, and then you get to see the trophy. And I remember growing up, and you get to see trophies, and you think, wow, is that really it? And then you see it, and it's something. It is something special. But it's not just about seeing the trophy. It's sharing. It is sharing the rugby values, but it's also, it's just giving, maybe even introducing rugby into kids who haven't not really seen the game before. So I think it's one thing, have your photo with the trophy, but it's also hold dear everything, the good values that rugby has to offer.
You talk about growing up and actually watching the trophy. What did it mean for you growing up, looking at the trophy and then winning it one day?
It's quite hard to verbalise because you spend your whole time as a rugby player. You keep setting yourself small goals. Right, what's the next step? What's the next step? What's the next step? And winning trophies was always a dream, but rarely do dreams actually become reality. And then and then you win it, and you always say you get what you deserve. And we worked incredibly hard for it, and then we win it, and it was a bizarre feeling because you put so much effort into it, and it's right now you've won it. It's can't believe we've done that. And then we'd worked hard for it, and then it was a disbelief that we've actually done it. And it was something which, as I look back now, it has a surreal feel about it all. And did that really happen as I remember it? And the great thing is there's so many videos to remind us that that's exactly what it was.
Obviously, being in England, is there quite a hype around the World Cup? It's still more than a year away, but are people getting excited?
I think I think globally, and everyone's getting excited because, I look at this World Cup, and I think every year the sport and the delta between the sides is getting less and less. And obviously we have, as in current form, we have New Zealand head and shoulders above everyone else, but then South Africa, who are playing really well, and then I think from teams ranked 3 to 6, everyone's pretty much for muchness. And so all the games which are being played now in the Rugby Championship, in our Six Nations, and also the end of year and autumn internationals, it has so much expectation now because everyone's looking. So yeah, there's huge amount of excitement, but it's it comes with we've got to win our pool. With all the other World Cups which I've been a part of, this is the one which is starting. It's starting so early now, so straight away we're looking. Our first game of the Six Nations is against Wales, which is just great. So everyone's right. This is Six Nations, but it's also how much of an impact that going to have on the World Cup.
Talking about the organisation of the tournament, what has it been like seeing the stadiums getting ready for the World Cup? Of course, they've obviously been used before, but getting ready for the World Cup, and just places, restaurants, accommodation, wanting to invite the world to England.
Yeah, I think the stadium. The great thing is with us with our football culture, and a lot of games are there. We've got the stadia. It's how the towns, like Brighton, are embracing the World Cup, and that's when, because they've never had international rugby, not least the likes of the Springboks coming in, and so they're just, you find out what they're doing, and the whole town is then looking to embrace, right, what can we put on for all these thousands of South African fans which are going to descend on our country? What are we going to do to welcome them into our town? And
you mentioned the football stadiums that you had. In England, it's generally quite a distinction between your rugby stadiums and then your football stadiums. Here in South Africa, we tend to use Loftus for both rugby and football. Is this sort of a bridging of a gap between the two sports and fans of the two sports?
Yeah, I think, well, obviously, so in football we have definite segregation. In rugby, thankfully, there's no need for that, and and that's the great thing. But in terms of what we have, we do have some great stadia. St James's Park up in Newcastle. That is so. I'm a football fan. I was also a student up in Newcastle, and you know how special it is to play at St James's Park, and it was. And for that to be open its door to rugby, and I think that's what's going to, for the legacy for being in England, it is, I think, a lot more of the football fans, because it's being played in football stadiums, that a lot more of the football fans are going to come and start to see, just saying, okay then, I want to see these, because they're going to, it's not just staying in typical rugby heartlands, it's going all over the country, which makes it special.
I don't know how much of the Springbok games you have been watching, but what do you think of the emerging guys, the youngsters coming through the ranks?
Yeah, I think, so you look ahead, and so I have a vested interest. So Heineke Mayo used to coach me at Leicester. So I've been watching what he's been doing, and I think the way he's been developing, and the young guys come through, but also the style in which they're playing. Because I think South Africa, to me, when I used to play against them, and post that, it's always been very much route one. It is give it to the. It's a physical test without anything else. It's if you can stop them crossing the gain line, that's half the way of stopping South Africa. And then you're seeing now, which I was quite surprised at with Heineke coming in, that he's actually started to branch away from that, and he's playing, and he's looking to play rugby, and he's looking to play fast, attractive rugby, which is great to see on one hand, but it's also worrying to see as well. And then, because the good thing is with the roles which I have, you're listening to what other countries are saying, and you're seeing what New Zealand, as a country, as a population, they're looking at South Africa and they're seeing what South Africa are doing, and you almost see a fear factor, just saying, look, they seem to have mastered it, because it's not just one brand of rugby, one style of rugby, stop this and you stop South Africa. It is, they're developing more strings to their bow, and so I think South Africa and you can only do that by bringing in, yes, he's very much gone back to his old guard, he's tried and tested and he knows what he's got, but then to bring in the young crew, which he has done, who want to play, I think is very exciting times.
Do you think we have enough depth to actually win a World Cup in England? A third World Cup?
I think third World Cup, geez, it's, from being a proud Englishman, I hope not. But, as I said at the start, it's New Zealand, South Africa who are above everyone else, and then it's everyone else. At the moment, as much we're doing everything we can to close that gap, and I think you've got to, with the closeness of the games, of the teams, you've got to look at it, and the way it works, South Africa, New Zealand should meet in the semi-final.
Let's look at the English team now. Yeah. Do they have the depth to win on home soil?
So, I think, we've just, at the start of our summer, we just had a 3-game tour to New Zealand. We lost all 3 tests, but we probably, we could have won, 2 of the 3. And I think the lessons which we've learned from that, I think will stand us in real good stead. We are, I hate the word, a developing nation in terms of how we're looking to develop our style, because we do have young players coming in. I think it's going to be a tall order. You know, you'd always want to go in there into the World Cup ranked 1 or 2. We're not going to be there, but you know, I think I saw enough in that tour of New Zealand to say, well, if we can get this right, then we can beat the best in the world on our day.
You might have lost those matches, but you did give the All Blacks quite a difficult time. Is this sort of proof that you've found combinations to work with?
Yeah, I think that's what we've got. I think that's so. Stuart Lancaster, our coach, will very much see those and that's the important thing. You're dead right. The combinations, and I think he knows now his group of players which he wants to work with, building up to the World Cup, and he's got to make that a tight group, and he knows that now. You know, and I think, you know, yes, we've shown. I don't want to be plucky losers. You know, nobody wants to be plucky losers. I think we've got to be at the stage. You know, because if you play one of those games in the World Cup, and never mind, we could have won, but we didn't. You're going home without a medal. You know, it's all about now developing the mental toughness that those games we play, which we show and we start well, that we go on to actually win.
Just lastly, any names that we should be watching out for at the 2015 World Cup in the English side?
Oh well, so we're I think a lot of our game revolves around Manu Tuolangi in the outside centre, who's as you very well know, in South Africa, you need when nothing else is on, you need somebody who can get the ball across the game line. He's our go-to guy. Mike Brown at the back as our full-back has been phenomenal for us. Can he keep that purple patch going? But I think for us, it starts. Every game is won and lost up front, and I think our back row, we've yet to find that combination, and that's the key thing. If we can get our back row functioning, whether it be Rob Shaw, Vunipola, Croft, Wood, we don't know whichever 3 to come out of those 4, but they've got to be able to do that, because the breakdown in rugby is just crucial, and we need to find those 3 to boss that breakdown.
If not England, who's your money on to win the World Cup?
I'm not going to bet anyone against England. Come on. So, as I said, my money is firmly on England, but with a big fingers crossed.
Thank you very much for speaking to us.
Thanks, enjoyed it.